Yeah. Oh, good. Donna's reporting. All right. Well, we will get started. Jessica, we didn't really coordinate, which is fine, but how much should I plan on stopping, like at 3:30, or what do
I
you?
think that sounds perfect. And we're a great team. I don't think that we needed to coordinate too much. We got this. So, yeah, whenever you're ready to hand it off, I'll be ready.
Yay. Okay, perfect. I am going to turn my camera off, and so Donna, I'm going to let you watch the the meeting, the waiting room or whatever, and then if anybody needs to be muted. And if you guys want to change to turn your cameras off, that would be fine. I kind of like to do that because I end up sharing my whole screen, and then sometimes seeing I'm going to turn my camera off too now. Yeesh. So sometimes when I share my whole screen, it just looks kind of goofy. Sorry, let me get, what am I doing here? I'm going to share my screen. All right, so this is a talk that I actually gave yesterday, sort of, for our users group here at Census. And things did not go super well, unfortunately, because as often happens with, doing any kind of, I guess, anything on the computer or trying to do that in real time, things happen. So we will see what happens today. And I did do a little bit of practicing. Let me see if this is, okay, yeah. I did do a little bit of practicing this morning, and Jessica, I think I did fix some of the issues that I had yesterday. Let me see. All right, hopefully you guys are seeing all this, right? I'm not sure what's covered up by Zoom.
I can see your slides, our package micromapST.
Yay, okay, perfect, thank you. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about is a package called micromapST, and its companion package called micromaps. So here's a list of the resources that I used for the talk today, and I'm going to well, I guess two of the main resources are these two articles from 2015, I believe, from the Journal of Statistical Software. And if you go there, if most of you, I'm pretty sure, are familiar with JSS, but it's open access. It's been around for many years, actually. And so at its beginning, I think it focused a lot on R, and I suspect it's kind of branched out since then to other software packages or systems. Anyway, one of the nice things, of course, is open access. So you can just get the journal articles, but then also you can get the package as well as the data sets that were used in the package or in the article. And so it's a really nice one-stop resources for things on the packages. So, okay. So in one, I guess, issue in 2015, there was this package called micromap, and I'll say a little bit about that later. But then there was the next issue or month, whatever, there was another article on micromapST. Now I'm going to introduce a little bit the micromaps, but really the focus is going to be on this micromapST, because as we'll see, the micromapST, the purpose of it was to kind of take some of the burden of creating these linked micromaps and kind of make it easier. Unfortunately, Richard, for New Zealand, it's not, micromapST isn't really going to help you because it's focused really on the 50 US states as well as District of Columbia. But I'll show you a little bit. The micromap, you could use that for anywhere, any type of region that you have will work with micromap. This is also, some of it's based on a book by the creators of micromapST. And here's a link to the website. This has been around a long time. So this is kind of it's an older site and older book. There's a blog post was written on it on our bloggers. If you're not familiar with that, you might go ahead and subscribe to it, because it's got usually some pretty good articles or blogs on various things about R. So I've learned quite a bit about new things that are happening in R by just subscribing to this blog. I also stole some slides, well, an image from a slide from my colleague Jürgen Semantic, who's at Utah State, and he was also kind of worked with Dan Carr on their book, and so he's kind of has a history of working with linked micromaps. And I'm going to actually go to this presentation right here a little bit, especially since we have Richard here, just to show you that, well, it's not all about the United States. You can do it for other geographic regions. And I'll show you this site also. I kind of stole an image from this one too. This, okay, so I'll come, let me see, should I do that? I'm not sure when to do that. So maybe I'll just come back to all of these in a minute. So from that last link that I pointed out, this is where I got this image from. So here's a URL for it. And it's essentially a whole workshop on mapping. And the very last sort of module of it was on micromaps. And so this is a really nice schematic kind of showing you, what's linked, what am I talking about with linked micromaps? So essentially, what you have here, these colored dots, this is your colored legend. You have, in this case, the labels of the geographic region. So here we have different states. There will be another column that might look like this. This is going to be some quantity that we will display. And then we have the geographic region illustrated here. And the point here is that the color, so this is Arizona up at the top. Here's the statistic we're displaying. And then here's the region right here. Same thing, blue is California. So the color is not associated with a value or a statistic. Instead, it's just meant to be a way to link across the horizontal here, so, or the row, if you would. So in other words, blue is California, here's the dot, here's the geographic region. Usually you could sort on the characteristic here that you are maybe interested in. And one thing I like about the sorting here is that sometimes at census, people will sort based on, they'll present a, sort of a distribution like this, where you have a state and then some value, but they'll organize it, they'll order it based on the alphabetical order of the state, like the state name. When, maybe that's not really informative for us, and we'd rather have ordering based on the characteristic. The other thing that you should do, and is done in the micromapST, is to organize the various subregions according to some perceptual groups. So kind of grouping them in like small bunches. And for the United States, it works out, and you have state level data, works out really well, because as we'll see, we'll have one kind of row here where there's the median, and then the 25 states above and the 25 states below. I'm just going to pretend District of Columbia is a state, okay? So that works out really well. And also, I just would like to point out that this idea, in my opinion, is kind of similar to Tufte's idea of small multiples, although I think it's a lot easier to understand what's going on with linked micromaps. So this is another slide that just shows kind of the same idea, just to let you know again what the linked micromaps are about, except this is, we've got sort of these columns kind of reordered from what we had here. And this is the setup that we would have in micromapST, where on the left here, we have the geographic areas. Here we'll have the state names, and then we'll have 1 to 2 panels. I don't think we can have 3. 1 to 2 panels with showing some statistics and various types of plots. And we'll see the options in just a little bit. Now I want to compare this with a choropleth map. So choropleth maps are, I mean, they've been around a long time. They're very familiar to folks. I think if they're pretty easy for, you know, non-data people or statisticians to understand what's going on. And essentially you have, you know, some map geographic region, and you have, again, a value associated with each region, just like what we have with micromaps, linked micromaps. But in this case, I mean, that's all we're really showing. We're just showing one quantity. And the color here is associated with or represents the value that we're trying to convey. And then we have some legend here. So I don't know what we're showing here, but this sort of dark red is 40 to 50%. So we see, you know, this is a higher percentage here, whereas in the light yellow, that's a much smaller percentage. So again, this is just to contrast what we're talking about here. Choropleth maps look like this, and linked micromaps are this way. So the linked micromaps, the little map part is simply really an index or a legend to describe these quantities, these statistics that are being, you know, conveyed over here. So this is the journal article for the micromapST, and I think this is my last slide, so I'm going to quit showing this because I want to let's see, just go to the journal articles. I thought about kind of stealing images from the articles, but I thought it would be just a little easier to just look at the relevant figures in the journal articles themselves. So here's the original micromap. Notice that it was mostly the folks from the Environmental Protection Agency were the developers of this. And this is a example of a linked micromap. So in this case, we have, let's see, okay, that's good. All right, so we have the states right here. Notice there's the median is shown here in this middle bar. This is the percent in this first column right here. We have the percent families living below the poverty level. And then it's sorted, okay? You have titles up here. I'm kind of going through this because when we create these maps, we have to tell R, what do we want in these various columns? What are the titles? What type of plots do we want, and so on. And then we want to compare, you see what kind of relationship there is maybe, or compare the percent families living below poverty level with the percent of adults who have at least a bachelor's degree. And, you know, these are kind of variable all over the place, not too surprising. But you can kind of see there's sort of this decreasing relationship between so here the percent below the poverty levels increasing this way. So there's a higher percentage of people in the poverty level, below poverty level up here. And then also a lower percentage of people with at least a bachelor's degree. And then here's the states that are highlighted over here. And I'm going to talk about what this gray area means in just a little bit. Now, the makers of micromapST, let's go there. They kind of looked at that and said, well, it's pretty difficult to, well, it's not difficult, but it's kind of tedious, I guess, to get all of these things right, like to specify all of the parameters and things to create these plots. And so what they did was they said, well, let's create sort of a wrapper, I guess, if you would, a package that would do that for the United States. So state level data. And so here's an example of a linked micromap created by, I wonder if I could zoom to the page. Oh, I could. All right, page fit. All right, that's maybe choose. How's that? Okay, hopefully you can see that okay. Notice that's a little bit, you can see it good. You can see that it's a little bit different from the micromaps package. Here we have the state regions on the left. I kind of like this because to me it's easier to start. Like here's the legend and I'm just reading across this way. So here's the regions. You can see the median panel a little bit better. It's kind of offset. You still have the, the titles here that you could specify, row or the labels for the horizontal axes you could specify. Notice again that you have these perceptual groups. It's pretty nice for the United States because we'd have 25 above the median, 25 below. So we could group them into bundles of 5 states. In this one, we have this is the white female lung cancer mortality. And it's, that's the sort variable here. You could use, you could create confidence intervals if you have that. This I really like. I've been trying to do this for the talk today, but I was not successful in getting data in the right way to handle it. But anyway.
Hey, Wendy, sorry to interrupt, but somebody asked, could you expand the browser window so it takes up more of your screen? I think it would help people see it better.
Is that better? Or
yeah.
Should I make it like 125%?
Yeah, that's probably better.
That's better. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I heard somebody saying something, but I didn't hear what it was, so thank you. I never noticed this before either. This is strange because I never noticed this, but look at this vertical green dash line. I have to check that out. Anyway, sorry, I just got distracted. This is kind of interesting to, to see this. All right, I digress. But what I really love over in this column is, so here you have the rate for the state, but how did they get that rate? Well, it was made up of the county rates, but you can see the distribution with these box plots. And so there's some that, kind of look a bit strange. Look at this one right here while you go over it, and it's Alaska. Yeah, Chuck, I see your hands raised.
The dash green line has a legend at the bottom. That's the US rate.
Oh, okay, thank you. I have to figure out how to get micromaps to do that, because some of the uses I've had of it recently, I really wanted to know the 0 point because I had, things that were negative and things that were positive, but I wanted to know the 0, and having it show, being able to display that would be helpful. Wow. So see, I just learned something new. Great. Thanks, Chuck. All right. So again, I would hopefully appreciate how you could use this to explore your data and then, kind of learn more about what's going on. So here, I promised to talk about the shading on the little maps part. This is kind of the regular one where you just have the states for the each perceptual group are highlighted. You can also have two different forms of cumulative maps, and then this guy over here. So here's a cumulative map where it's just as you go down the column, all the states that were previously highlighted just are in yellow. Okay, so if you're in this map right here, all the previous states up here, right? So here on up are highlighted. The previous ones are in yellow, and then the current ones are colored. So until you come all the way down to the bottom and you see everything is highlighted. This one is called a two-ended one. Essentially, it accumulates going here from the top to the median and then the bottom up to the median. So I kind of like this one here because here you see all the states above the median. Here in this one, you see all the states below the median. Then also the black is the median state, and it's shown in black. Maybe you can see it here. So black right here, and then black right here. So the grouping above, the grouping below, the median is highlighted. Now this one, I think can be pretty helpful, but I think you have to think about it a little more. In this one, all these groups, right, all these little maps right here, all the states above the median are highlighted. It's just that in each little group right here, the ones for the group are colored. Okay, so here Michigan is yellow, but here it's green because it belongs to that group. The others, it's yellow. Okay, and then the same thing down here. Now the options for the columns can be found in this table right here. You could have just regular dots, that's what we'll look at. You could have arrows, you can have horizontal bars, you can have horizontal stack bars. I don't know. Oh, you could have a blocks plot, and let's see, a scatter plot. We'll look at that. You can have time series with a confidence band. Lots of possibilities right there. So here's one with the arrows and the bars. Here's one with the time series. So we're sorting on this, but then you have a time series for each state with confidence information. We'll look at this in this example today in R. And I really like this one because it gives you have your sort variable here, but maybe you want to see the relationship with this guy over here in this column. But sometimes it's easier to see, or you can see more maybe by looking at it with a scatter plot. And here with the scatter plot, all the points are displayed, but it's just the ones in this little group right here are colored. Okay, and here's a different type of scatter plot. I think you could have even more capabilities if you use ggplot2. So I think that's what they are doing here, using ggplot2 to do a different kind of scatter plot. Here's the stack plots and so on. Okay, I'm gonna jump off of this and let me just quickly show this. Here's the website for the book that I mentioned. Here's the blog on micromaps. Here's the, oh yeah, I wanted to show this because this was Jürgen's presentation, but he shows how you can use other regions. So here's Brazil. He's showing the murder rate here, and then the arrows showing the change in the rate. Here's Korea. So you could have different, regions there. And another Korean example. Okay. And then finally, this is that fundamentals of spatial data access and analysis in R. This is a 2018 workshop, but you could just get to the, the micromap. Here's the micromaps here. And learn all about spatial analysis in R. All right, now here, do I have time? Okay.
Yeah, Wendy, take your time. Yeah,
okay. All right, I will maybe take like 5-ish minutes if that's all right.
I only need 20, so you are good to go until 3:30 if you'd like. Okay,
we are in great shape. Okay, I was taking a ggplot2 class this afternoon, so here's my ggplot2. Okay. All right, I gotta close this. Close the project. I've just, by the way, figured out how to do projects, although I'm not super good at it, but is this not opening? Oh, it's taking a while. Okay. All right. So first of all, you have to, install micromaps. So I'm just going, it's already installed. Oh, and it's micromapST. Okay. Now I think it must depend on micromap too. What I did was I tried to reproduce the example from the micromap paper where it was people living below the poverty level and then people who had a bachelor's degree or higher. And I'm ashamed to say that I had a lot of trouble trying to find this on the census website, but I did go to state cancer profiles in the National Cancer Institute. I think that's what they are. And they had a really nice interface for me to get the data in a really nice form. So this is where I got the data from. Okay, so persons below the poverty level, and then all races, both gender or sexes, at least a bachelor's degree. All right. So I always like to have my data in a CSV file. Oh yeah, I was going to show that file. Poverty.csv. Is it going to open it? Oh yeah, view file. Okay. Oh, I didn't want to do that. All right, where am I? Okay, so I have just a CSV file. I have the state right here. I have the percent below the poverty level. I don't really care about that one because I also have the totals here, but then also here's the percent of the bachelor's degree. It's important to note that one of these columns is my state information. Okay. So I'm going to read that in. And it looks like this. Oh, so I had to tell it row names is equal to 1 because what micromapST wants is the row names correspond to the states. So notice when it read it in, I don't have that column anymore. So I have the below the poverty level, percent below the poverty level, and percent bachelor's degree. All right. So the next thing that you do is you have this object here that is called panel description. And essentially, it's a data frame, but this is the stuff that the components that you need to have in it. And this is explained in the journal article. But notice, okay, in this case, I'm going to try to do like a very simple plot where I have little maps. I have my state IDs, and then I'm just going to show the percent of the people below the poverty level as dots. Okay. So this is the first line of my column type. Oh, so so this label 1 is the top, like the first sentence, if you would, line of my column titles. Usually you have the first column is blank because it, the package does a default thing there. And then the second one is blank. So this first one is the maps. The second one is the state ID. You don't have to specify it. The package will do it. So I want to say percentage of people below the poverty level. I'm going to do a second line that's from the ACS. And then my third label here is what goes on the bottom of the column. And then this is where I tell it what to display. The first column, I don't have to tell it anything, as well as the second column, I don't have to tell it anything, because that's where the map and the state names are. So I'm going to say I want to use column 1 or component 1 as my data that I'm going to show. Okay. All right, so that's just a data frame. So let me run that, because I should make this a little bigger. And all right, so I think I figured this out this morning, Jessica. Let me just do this. You then call micromapST. You give it the data. So this is my data object. Here's my panel description. My sort variable is the first one. It's the only one I'm doing. I say role names full. I've never been able to get that to work the way I want it. But anyway, and then this is like an overall title. Okay. Now, if I do this, if you know, in our studio and the default graphic window is down here, right? Let me zoom my plot, and that looks like garbage, right? It doesn't look anything like the journal articles, so that's not going to look good. All right, let me get rid of this. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to use a different graphics device. And so you in R, you could send it to a PDF file, you could send it to a PNG, JPEG, and I think also TIFF. So here I'm just going to send it to, I'm going to specify a PDF as my graphics device. And notice that pretty much my plot is going to take up the whole piece of paper. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay. I can't get my measurements right. All right, so now my graphics device is there, a file. And so now I'm going to run it. And over here, even though it's in red, it always scares me, like, oh, what did I do wrong? But it tells me everything was fine. Now, you have to close your device. And you know what, Jessica, I'm going to do this again, just in case. Oh, well, maybe it gave me an error. Yesterday, I had trouble because it was not actually closing it. Okay, and let me see. Why is this up here? Where's my file? Oh, here it is. I was hoping to do it right from our studio, but that didn't work. Okay, so here is what I just created. It's beautiful. It looks a lot better than what was in our studio. So here I have the percent of people below the poverty level. That was my first line from ACS. Here is my title. I didn't have to specify this guy or this guy. Remember, the package did that on its own, and everything is nicely ordered. Okay, so we could also save it to a PNG file. And let me see if that guy, let me do that because I don't know what I'm doing. And let me open it with Paint 3D. And there we have it. It's the same thing, and it looks, sometimes it looks slightly different. It looks a little bit different, but there you have it. It might be easier to use that type of file to for presentations or what have you. I guess I really didn't go over this too much, but I forgot that. So here we're going to do a cumulative map. Remember, I still have to do my panel description now. This guy right here tells it to do a cumulative map. What I did before was just a map. Okay, so now I'm going to do a cumulative map. I still want my state IDs, and I'm still going to do a dot plot. And everything else is the same. I'm just doing a cumulative map. Here we have, now we have the cumulative map. That's all I had to do. All right, Jessica, I think I'm going to try one more thing, because what I wanted to do was, let's see, we'll do a scatter plot. Well, right, I guess I lied. Do I still have time to do?
You have time.
Okay, all right, cool. I just want to do 2 more plots. This is, now I'm going to do the map tail over here. But now look, I've got a 4th column here. So I'm just going to do a dot plot of it's going to be the below poverty level here, number 1. And then number 3, it was the bachelor's degree. Okay, so I just specify that here. And they're both going to be dots. Let's see, did I do that one? Yeah. All right. Now I've got a large title there. And here we have it. So this is the same one that I showed you from the journal article, but it's different. I mean, it's later data, of course. But notice still we have this similar relationship where, you know, as the poverty level is higher, we have a lower percentage of bachelor's degrees. But look, you could see over here, DC right away is an outlier, that there's a high percentage of adults with bachelor's degrees are higher, but a relatively, you know, higher compared to the whole US. People living in below the poverty level. So, but I'm, you know, we're kind of eyeballing that. We could see it, but I kind of like scatter plot. So let's do the scatter plot. So I just do scat dot, and I'm going to set this up again. Notice I'm doing a different kind of cumulative plot just to show the difference, and run it. Let's see. And here we have the scatter plot. So here we have DC. We could see that right away as an outlier, and you can kind of see that there's this decreasing relationship between. So the horizontal is the percent below poverty. The vertical is the percent of adults with a bachelor's degree or higher. There's a way to specify the vertical. You could assign a label to the vertical axes here, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. I need to read the paper better. But anyway, I think that is it. And sorry, Jessica, I took up so much time. And I will pass the baton to you.
Awesome. No, oh, go ahead.
I would just say I'll pass the podium, not the baton.
I thought that was fantastic. And honestly, it is a very in-depth package, right? It's a very incredible demonstration of how you can put a lot of data together. So I feel like you did it justice. You know, you don't want to rush through something like that. Whereas the package that I'm about to show you all is like the complete opposite. It's very easy. straightforward. It's meant to be a very accessible way to step into visualization. So I'm gonna go ahead and
Can I just say
Yeah.
one thing as like a little segue to what you're going to talk about? Because that has inspired me for the following, because yes, micromapST made things easier for, micromaps, at least with the United States. If we could create something like what you're going to show us, where you could like graphically specify, like, okay, here's my label, this is what I want my labels, and then the app, the GUI, whatever, would create the plot for you, or you could see the example of it as you create it, because I think we could make it even easier to create the plots. Okay, that's a little teaser.
Absolutely. And I even found in playing with it, I was like, there's so many things that they could do to expand it. And I'm guessing this is brand new, right? I think it's been out for less than a year. Possibly it was early this year. I can only imagine in the next deployment, it's going to be like mind blowing how many more details they put into it. So I'll be excited to show. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. See if I can get, and you can hear me, right? Correct. Is that it? I know that sometimes my
I can
okay, good. I know sometimes my microphone takes the laptop over the external thing. Okay, you can see. I don't use Zoom often. I'm hoping I'm doing this right. Can you see my screen?
I can, yes. And I love the little hex.
Yeah, I wish I could see. I thought it was beautiful. It's a beautiful application. It's a beautiful package, and it's a beautiful hex sticker. So they did a really good job. So a lot of what I'm going to show you today, I'm first going to go through some slides, and then I'm going to show you a demo in our studio. But I have had a few problems today with IT, because everyone can relate to that, I'm sure. So I put everything in my GitHub for you to access. So honestly, I'm going to do the demo, but you're going to see this. You're going to see my slides, some of my screenshots, and you're going to be like, wow, I don't need to see it. I need to try it. So that's why it's not going to be too long of a presentation, but I really encourage you to try it on your own. I think you'll really enjoy it. So the Squeeze package is meant to explore and visualize your data interactively. So there's some documentation. There's always documentation. I would really suggest going into this getting started, because it's a really, really nice layout. Not only is it detailed, all of the different pieces of functionality that they've built in to this. It's a GUI, a graphical user interface, and it's shiny. It's a shiny app meant for visualization. So this getting started vignette really nicely goes through a lot of the different things you can do. So, and you'll see it is a French package, at least it wasn't built here. So at the very top, you'll see a French quotation, and everyone always asks what's it mean, and it's from the Little Prince. The Little Prince, who asked a lot of questions, never seemed to find. And one of our boot camp folks actually translated that for me. So I am going to show you a series of screenshots just to show you what the interface looks like, and then I'm going to go through a demo to show you how this gets built. So when you first open your Shiny app, your Squeeze R function call with your data will open a nice external little window, and it allows you to do point and click with your data. So this was a very, very simple data set I put in that just simply had year and a total. It's actually the total population in these specific years. You can pick what type of, I'm going to make this bigger for everyone. You can pick what type of font to see based on your data. So this probably looks familiar to Tableau, right? When you go in and if your data doesn't meet the specifications they're looking for, the options will be grayed out, and the same's here. It will always auto pick whatever things will fit best, but then your options will be accessible to you if it fits your data. So that's the first thing you see. You can specify your labels in your title with the first tab. You can see I specify world population. Second tab gives you your plot options and everything. So it's important to note that everything, all of your options will change based on your data. So you can see I had, prior to this, a line plot. And I had to change my underlying data and actually turn year into a factor to be able to get this bar or column chart to display. So it's a good reminder that your data has to be ready in the right format. There's nothing you can do in here to change your underlying data. All of that needs to be done outside in RStudio before you get here. Those are the things I think they're going to add on to. I think they're going to allow for more manipulation of that underlying data source in a next iteration. But for right now, everything gets done before you get to this point. So you have your plot options. I flipped the coordinate. So I have a little thing that I did on each one, a little setting that I picked. So you can see this one is a flipped coordinate and it's in reverse. For my appearance, you can pick your color, you can pick color palettes, you can specify specific palettes. If you know with ggplot, you can change your color scale to whatever you'd like it to be. A little example of this down below. You can pick many different color palettes, the ggplot ones and some of the nicer ones that you see. And like I said, you can pick a custom one, which is really nice if you're working with with census, we have very specific colors we should use, and I'm sure at your agencies you have a preferred color palette as well. And this is just an example of one that has a few bells and whistles added in. It has a nice color, it has a nice scale, we have some labels. You can see on the side I have scientific notation. I always did, but I just kind of wanted to show how same thing, all of the settings need to be done before you get to R, or before you get to your visualization point. At that point, I can't change the data, nor can I change my settings like scientific notation. So you can change your the parameters of your data, like what data you want to show. You can filter out outliers. This only has one option. That's because I'm only showing one variable for total, but it expands really nicely. Let me see if I can show you in here. This was a good example. So you can do a lot of different, make this bigger. Set a lot of different parameters for your data. The more variables that you're trying to show, the more options you're going to have. So it just kind of, your options build with your data and with your customizations. If you try to do something that it's not expecting because the data doesn't support it, as you know, you'll get some errors in your console. Same thing, these are how the errors show here. Telling me that I was trying to do something that just didn't really fit with the data that I was working with. And then the nice thing about this is exactly what Wendy said. You just take the code that gives you an option to copy the code to a clipboard and then put it wherever you want, or just insert the code directly into your script where you left off. And then you can build on it from there. So if you built something really nice, but there was one thing that was a little bit off with your data, let's say for me, it was the scientific notation. Otherwise, I thought this was perfect and I'm ready to deliver it to my manager. I could just insert the code in the script, go and disable the scientific notation, rerun, not rebuild it, but just rerun the code, and I'd have the same output. And I think that's truly the benefit of this package, is that you can, it's a really easy way to get started with your visualization, and then you can keep it and reproduce it and put it in nicely formatted deliverables and use it forevermore and update it accordingly. So we're not going to go to questions yet because I am going to go to my RStudio and we're going to see if we can build one together. And then, like I said, I really encourage you to, what am I sharing? To try it because it is fun. Like, it's really fun to try. Okay.
Getting that set up. So I said I was in the ggplot 2 class and I was thinking, I might not even need to do that. I'll just use Esquisse.
Well, that's, I feel like it's a good thought, but it's that it follows with if we all go to these like auto coders or auto, then we'll never learn how to build those coding skills. So I think those classes are still important.
That's true. That's
okay,
very true.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen, or not sharing my screen. I am going to stop sharing my camera because I've had massive memory problems today where everything just shuts down. So if I want this to run, I better not share my camera. And
well, yeah, while you're unsharing your camera, there was a question about, can it do interactive plots? Like maybe with the cursor hovering over giving detailed info or selecting to zoom?
I don't think so. I think someone asked that yesterday too, and I did not see that there was an interactive component to it. there's a play, like you can play and then have, I feel like it's kind of similar to, oh, what's that? Animated, the animate, GG animate. I feel like that's what you can do. You can almost GG animate it so that it plays forward and it's this nice run through, but it's not interactive in the sense of like, you know, some of those really nice interactive maps where you can actually like get some information out of it, hover overs, tooltips. But like I said, I believe in my heart of hearts that this package is probably so popular that they are going to build something like that in. Like, I can't imagine it'd be too much of a leap. Like we've seen, I know we've all seen some really impressive Shiny applications. So I feel like it's not too, wouldn't be too much for them to get to that point. So maybe next year I'll get to come update the group and say like, hey, they've made it 10 times better. That's my hope, at least. Okay, hopefully I'm sharing my RStudio. Yeah,
Yep, we can see our studio.
I'm just assuming I am. So I preloaded all of my packages because I really, pre-installed, preloaded my libraries. I'm going to be just focusing on the Gapminder data set for now. But if you look at the code, I gave you lots of cool data sets to visualize. So we have our world population from Gapminder, and that's just the sum of the population. So you can see I told you have to do stuff out, like you can't change the class or types of your variables inside. So I had to go back and change my year to a factor. And then down below, if you're feeling really ambitious, I gave you some tidy census data sets that you can visualize at the bottom. So that's just a little orientation to the code. And you got a bonus, as Wendy mentioned, we presented yesterday. I gave you all in that GitHub the Tigris code. So you can get shape files, you can get data, you can play with that. So it's two really nice code files that has a lot of great information. But today we're just going to focus on Gapminder in the interest of time. Always do your exploratory data analysis before you get to your visualization. Like, you know, structure of Gapminder. I know that my year is just an integer. I'm probably not going to be able to work with it as a category in the way I want to. So you always want to explore what are my options, what are my ranges, because the tool is not good for exploring your data. It's good for, I already understand my data. I've done everything I need to do. Now I'm ready to visualize. It's just like Tableau in that sense. You do everything before you get to visualization. So we're going to look at this. We're going to look at the world population data set. And all that is the population of the whole world by year from like 1952 to 2017. To open the window I'm about to open, all you have to do is run squeeze R and then world pop. You need to have installed Shiny and you need to have installed the squeeze package. So watch this, it'll happen really quick. Ta-da! I'm going to assume it's showing it. It didn't pop up on another window. That's not sharing. Like I said, Zoom is not my...
I can definitely see it. Yep.
Okay. And here's our little fun little Prince quote at the top. So I'm just going to show you, as you can see, when you land on it, it's an auto. It's going to pick what's going to be the best for what you put on. I'm going to put year. And I'm going to put total. And it's going to be a little slow because it's thinking. So you can see in the background, it's listening. So for those of you who make Shiny apps, that looks pretty familiar, right? It opens up a new port, I guess. And this is just the beginning of my data. I only have 2 variables, and year is not even formatted correctly. So I cannot do much. I can make a line graph, I can make a point graph, I can go into my customizations. 2017. Awesome. Everything shows, it all looks really nice, but it's really not, you know, it's not that amazing. We only had 2 variables to show, but we can just see the trend that our population is going up, which we know. So I'm going to close out of this. You can see your data, like the underlying data when you're in it, because sometimes you need to reorient yourself to your data. And like I said, you have options, you have color options. I can show, I can specify what I want to show with my parameters, and then I can take my code back and insert it. So let's go out of this and let's go to one that's a little bit more fun. This one's going to be a little bit more complex, and then this will be my very last example, and then we can move to questions or anything fun. Okay, so this I have a little bit more to work with, but I did not turn my year into a factor, and that was a mistake. Let me do that first. It's okay, I guess. Okay, that's okay. We're not going to worry about it too much. Okay, so let's take our year. Let's take our country. No, we don't want that actually. We want our life expectancy. And you can see it kind of cycles through its thinking. Like it's thinking, oh, what do we want to make with this? But you can make some really, really nice, let's group by continent. Actually, let's facet it by continent. So you can do a lot of those ggplot. Let's see if the play works here. I have not gotten the play to work, so there's something that I'm missing here. But if you do get the play to work, let me know because I would really like to try it. So you can see, like I said, you can specify the colors you want. I want to save things. I want to change things. I can change my theme. Like a lot of these themes look familiar, right? Like your GG themes, your symbols. So it opened up, like as you saw when I was working with my graph earlier, I didn't have a lot of these options. But it's a really, really smart application because it decides what would be a good choice based on what you're trying to do. And like I said, if you're trying to do something that's impossible, it'll throw you an error. Let's see if there's anything else I can put on here to make it interesting. So you can see, yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of really interesting things that you can see once you start adding all of these different variables. And it's a really fun, it really is, I feel like the reason I enjoy this in the same way I enjoy Tableau is that like it's an exploration. You just keep trying things. It's a guess and test. Oh, this worked really well. Oh, this didn't it missed the mark. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. But this gives you the opportunity to really play with things and see what happens. Well, that just writing code doesn't give you the, like you're writing your code, but you're not sure what's going to happen till you run it. And then sometimes you run things over and over and it doesn't work as well. But this is a nice way to just play with your settings, see what's going to work out for your specific data and not have to, you know, have an exercise in frustration of did I set everything in the exact way that I was looking? Did I even know what my options were to begin with? Like, did I know that I could toggle all of these different variables in such a way to make the specific graph that I'm looking for? So that's a little, and you see who's all listening. That was a little demo of a squeeze. Like I said, there's a lot more code in here that you can play with. There's even decennial data sets that you can put into a squeeze and see what you can make with it. So I welcome any questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
That was amazing. I have one question while people are thinking.
Okay.
Can you open it up and then load a data set?
No, everything you have to know. So, and that's what I find it to be a really interesting that everything, not interesting, but I think that it's something that they could improve upon, that just everything has to happen before you get in there. Like if you get in there and you realize you didn't have all the data you wanted or your year wasn't a factor. Like Wendy, I think you were the one who said to me, you're like, usually if something goes wrong, I have to look at what my variable type is. And I found that this is where that really, like, I kept, every time something went wrong, I was like, look at what your variable type is. Oh, that's not what I wanted it to be. Exit out of everything, go back and change it, and then go back in. So it's a very intentional process. And I feel the same way about Tableau. I find that people are always like, oh, I can just throw my data in Tableau and it'll be magic, but it's not. The amount of work that goes into the front end that gets done in R or Python is key for a successful visualization, but that gets overlooked 9 times out of 10. And I feel the same way about this package. Like everything needs to be done. So you can't just shortcut. You have to be you have to know what you're doing. You can't shortcut the process.
Yeah, and that's the, I mean, they've done a, I mean, this is a tremendous application, and I'm just amazed by what they did. But yeah, it would be more complete if they gave the user the ability to, okay, I want this data object, and then give you the chance to do some of that exploratory data analysis where you're trying to clean it. You know, you got to get rid of outliers or make transformations or something. Yeah. So well, you know, it's about almost anything. You kind of do it and think, oh, well, this would be good if we had this. So,
If they're successful, which like I said, I feel like this for like their first pass, I was like, this is stellar, like stellar work. I feel like if they can perfect this, and then we can also get our Shiny deployment through containers, which we're working on at Census, then do we need Tableau? Do we need to rely on Tableau as heavily as we do? Like, could we actually take people who are pretty proficient coders to begin with and get them using these open source tools for interactive visualization as opposed to paying these very costly Tableau license that I heard just went up? So that's like, I feel like down the line, but we'll get there.
Well, I think that's just amazing. I see people have kind of dropped off, but we have a few that have stayed the course. Any questions? I'm sorry I took so long with mine.
Yours is really cool. Don't be sorry about that at all. I thought it was really
well,
cool.
yours was this. I'm so excited about a squeeze. Yeah.
I'm excited to follow it and see how it goes. Like, I'd like to bring them in for a presentation or something, like the developers.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I guess there's no other questions. And oh, but I did want to make sure I had the. Well, you could send me your GitHub link, right? Yeah, my sense.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Otherwise, I'll
You
forget.
send me. I'll send you my GitHub link. You send me your code for the R group as well.
Yes. Yes. I want to document it a little bit better. But yeah.
We meet tomorrow morning. We can do it.
Oh, okay. Yes, we'll connect. You can get me on the right page. All right. Well, thank you, Jessica. Thanks everybody for hanging in there and coming today. It was great and a lot of fun. So I learned a lot. I'm excited. I'm going to use a squeeze. All right. Take care. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, Donna.
You're welcome. Okay. Bye.